You ever just stop and think about how massive, complex projects actually get done? Seriously, how in the world do you get thousands of people, all with different skills, different personalities, different motivations, all marching in the exact same direction to build something incredible? It honestly seems like it should be impossible.
I mean, just look at something like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. It's an absolute masterpiece of engineering. We're talking millions of parts from hundreds of different companies, all put together by a workforce spread across the globe. How does that symphony of effort not just collapse into total chaos? Well, there's a powerful framework at the very heart of it all. Okay, let's really dig into this.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start by unraveling this big organizational puzzle. Then we'll open up what I call the manager's toolkit. After that, we'll look at the blueprint for any project. That's planning and organizing. And then the engine that actually drives it forward, leading and controlling. And finally, we'll see how it all fits together in what's known as the management cycle. Right, so let's start with that central puzzle. How do you coordinate a massive human effort? Turns out, the solution is a single, really powerful idea.
And here's the answer, in one word, management. Now hold on, this isn't just about being the boss. Management is the actual process of guiding all of a company's resources, and yeah, I'm talking about people, money, technology, the whole shebang, to hit a specific goal. You can think of it as the invisible architecture that turns chaos into coordination. It's what makes the impossible, well, possible.
So to really get our heads around this, let's think of management as a toolkit. And inside this toolkit, every single successful manager has 4 essential tools that they're using pretty much constantly. And here they are: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Now the key thing to get here is that this is not a checklist you just do once and you're done. Nope, these 4 things form a tightly integrated, continuous cycle. One function flows right into the next, and the last one feeds right back into the first. It's always in motion. So let's grab the first 2 tools out of our toolkit, which I like to call the blueprint. This is where you actually design what you're going to do and figure out how you're going to build it. First up, you've got planning. This is the foundation. It's the most fundamental step. Before anyone even thinks about building a single piece of that Dreamliner, this is where you set the destination. It's all about deciding your objectives, mapping out the timeline, the methods, and figuring out exactly who is responsible for each piece of the puzzle. You're basically creating the map before you even start the car.
And what's really interesting is that planning happens on 2 different levels. You've got strategic planning, that's the big picture, 30,000-foot view. You know, where is this entire company going in the next 5 years? And then you have operational planning, which is all about the here and now. It's the boots on the ground, day-to-day actions needed to actually move that big strategy forward. And this quote right here, it's a fantastic example of that high-level strategic planning in action. See, when Mickey Drexler took over a J.Crew that was really struggling, he didn't just tinker with daily operations. He made a massive strategic pivot. He changed the entire direction of the company, taking it back to its luxury roots. That wasn't just a small course correction. It was a total reinvention of the company's mission.
Okay, so once you have that plan, you need to organize. If planning is the what and the why, then organizing is the how. For Boeing, this means figuring out, okay, which team builds the wings, who's handling the software, and how do we get all those parts from hundreds of suppliers to the assembly line at the right time? It's the structure that actually brings the plan to life. And this whole process really boils down to 3 key activities. First, you divide up all the work into specific jobs. That's your division of labor. Then, you group those jobs together into logical teams or departments. And finally, you assign authority. You delegate so that everyone knows exactly what they're responsible for. The goal here is simple: creating clarity and structure for the whole team.
Okay, so now we have our blueprint, but a blueprint doesn't build itself, right? You need an engine to power it forward and, frankly, a steering wheel to keep it on the road. And that's where leading and controlling come into play.
Leadership. This is the human engine. A perfect plan is just a piece of paper without the energy and commitment of the people who have to execute it. Leadership is all about inspiring that commitment, guiding your teams through the tough spots, and motivating everyone to bring their A-game to reach those shared goals.
And leadership is definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. You have autocratic leaders who are very top-down, very directive. And then on the other end, you have participative leaders who are all about sharing decisions and encouraging discussion. The really great leaders, well, they know how to adapt their style to the situation.
I absolutely love this quote. Inspect what you expect. It's such a brilliant summary of a balanced leadership style. It's basically saying, look, I trust you and I've empowered you to do your job, but I'm also going to check in to make sure we're still on the same page. It's that perfect blend of participative leadership with built-in accountability.
Now, a leader's style has a huge impact on something we call corporate culture. The best way to think about culture is as the organization's personality. It's that invisible force field of unwritten rules, shared values. It's the way we do things around here, even when no one's watching.
And that culture gets shaped from the very top. Take Google, for example. Their leadership intentionally fosters a culture of innovation and psychological safety. That's not an accident. It's a direct result of a leadership style that encourages people to experiment, to collaborate, and even to fail without fear.
The final tool in our kit is controlling. This is your dashboard and your steering wheel. It's the whole process of measuring your progress against the plan you made and then making corrections when you start to drift off course. For a project like the Dreamliner, where millions of parts have to fit together perfectly, this function isn't just important, it is absolutely essential.
The control process itself is a really simple but powerful loop. First, you set a clear standard. What does success actually look like? Then, you measure what's really happening. You compare that reality to your standard. And if there's a gap, you take corrective action to get right back on track. Simple, right?
Toyota has an incredible real-world example of this. The fact that any worker on the line can pull a cord and stop everything to fix a problem, that is the ultimate control mechanism. It provides instant feedback and immediate corrective action, right at the source. That is controlling in action.
So, we've looked at all 4 tools in the toolkit: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Now let's put them all back together and see how they work as a system.
And this, right here, is the most critical takeaway from this entire explainer. These functions are not a one-and-done checklist. They're a dynamic, continuous cycle. The results from your controlling phase, which you learn from measuring progress, feed directly back into your next round of planning. The way you lead affects how you organize. It all works together, constantly, in a never-ending feedback loop.
So next time you're working on something, doesn't matter if it's a big project at work, a school assignment, or even just a personal goal you've set for yourself, think about this toolkit. Ask yourself, are you planning your steps? Are you organizing your resources? Are you leading yourself and others with real motivation? And are you controlling your progress? Because this framework, it doesn't just build airplanes. It can help you build pretty much anything you want.